In this video, I attempted to become the first person in the world to platinum Cookie Clicker. Cookie Clicker, a game we used to all play in school, was finally coming to console. To achieve the platinum trophy, you have to 100% the entire game, which normally takes thousands of hours. But if I wanted to become the first person to platinum Cookie Clicker, I had to invent some glitches. Some of the glitches in this video literally broke my PS5 to the point where it was almost over. I started the platinum journey at May 21st at 11:58 p.m., only 2 minutes before the game comes out. 2 minutes later, it hits midnight, and after refreshing, the game was able to be bought for $7. Ain't this game free on PC? After buying the game, I opened it up and immediately started clicking the cookie. Once I clicked the cookie 15 times, I was able to buy my first building, a cursor. This granted me a passive income of 0.1 cookies per second. Anyways, I continued clicking the cookie and buying cursors, with each one getting more and more expensive. After buying a total of 10 cursors, I was now making a passive income of 1 cookie per second. But by the end of the video, I'll be making so many cookies to the point where I didn't even know numbers this high existed. Duo Vigintillion? What? Anyways, I got to 100 cookies and I was able to buy the first of 700 upgrades. This upgrade doubled the efficiency of my cursors, which means I now produce 2 cookies per second. And I'll have to collect all 700 upgrades to earn a trophy. After getting a total of 100 cookies, I bought the next type of building, a grandma. Grandmas give you 1 cookie per second. This doesn't mean that I should only buy grandmas from now on, but I should keeping the grandma's price at 5 times higher than 1 cursor, because 1 grandma equals 5 cursors. You see the math I'm using? So I continued clicking the cookie, I bought upgrades, cursors, grandmas, but then this happened. Wait, what is this? Golden cookie. Click a golden cookie. This early into the game, there isn't really much to do other than just clicking the cookie, so that's exactly what I did, and I eventually bought my first farm. 5 minutes later, I bought my first mine. 10 minutes later, I bought my first factory. Another 10 minutes later, I bought my first bank, and a whole 30 minutes later, I bought my first temple. At this point, it was getting pretty late, and I had to wake up at 7 a.m. for school, so I decided to leave my PS5 on overnight so that I could farm cookies while I'm sleeping. When I woke up the next day, I had 1 billion cookies. Who the hell needs this many cookies? So I went to school that day and left my PS5 on at home so that I could farm even more cookies. Hey, I was even locked in during school. During lunch, I decided to check if I was in the lead with the most trophies. That's when I found out that there's some people with tons of trophies already. I thought I was doing pretty good, but I'm currently only in 20th place. When I got back home from school, I decided to message the guy who's currently in first place with the most trophies, asking for some tips and tricks. He replied about 2 minutes later and told me that 0% of my viewers are subscribed, so if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. It helps out a ton. I'm just lying, that's not what he said. Bro tried to get free promotion. He actually told me about this glitch where you set the date of your PS5 to the year 2099, which tricks Cookie Clicker into thinking that 74 years have passed. Unfortunately, you don't get any cookies from doing this, at least for now. But you do get tons of sugar lumps, which can be used to upgrade buildings and get tons of trophies. A capital idea. Reach level 10 banks. Reach level 10 grandmas. Reach level 10 farms. Reach level 10 mines. Reach level 10 factories. Reach level 10 temples. Reach level 10 wizard towers. Reach level 10 cursors. Reach level 10 shipments. By upgrading buildings to level 10, you also get access to Cookie Clicker's mini games like the stock market, farming, and many more. I was pretty curious about the stock market, so I decided to go for the trophy initial public offering for making my first stock market profit. Simple enough, right? Well, after buying a few stocks, I was down over $1,000. But I believed in the stock market, and 30 minutes later, my stocks went up like crazy. So I sold it all and made a profit. The next day, I woke up and I had 1 trillion cookies in the bank. It was now Saturday, which meant I could grind Cookie Clicker all day, and I ended up getting tons of trophies. At this point of the game, it was time to restart. You might be thinking, what do you mean it's time to restart? You see, there's this thing called Ascending, where you're able to buy permanent upgrades that carry over into your new Ascension, which are bought using heavenly chips. So far, I've been able to get 9 heavenly chips, which are earned based on how many cookies you made in that Ascension. With the 9 heavenly chips, I bought 3 upgrades, which now allows me to earn 15% of my total CPS, which means cookies per second, while the game is closed. Now, this is absolutely massive for progression, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I reincarnated and restarted at 0 cookies. minutes. I played the game until I reached the point where I was making just 1 cookie per second. Then I closed the game and did the glitch where I set the date on my PS5 to 2099, and once I opened back up the game, I had 43 million cookies in the bank. So this upgrade that I just bought now allows me to get 15% of 74 years worth of cookies at 1 cookie per second. What I said may have been a little confusing. It was confusing for me at first, but this is the level of complexity I have to go to become the first achiever of Cookie Clicker's Platinum Trophy. So I spent all 43 million cookies and now I'm making 19,000 cookies per second. I closed my game. This time I set the date all the way back to the year 2000, open and close the game. Then I set the date to 2099, and once I opened back up the game, I had nearly 1 trillion cookies. And for some reason a trophy as well. Sugar, wait, what was that? Harvest a bifurcated sugar lump? Huh? So this time, I just tricked my PS5 into thinking that 99 years have passed, and I was able to get 15% of 99 years worth of cookies at 19,000 cookies per second. As you can see, the more and more I do this glitch, the more cookies I will make because this number keeps compounding. So I did the glitch again, and this time I had 7.8 quadrillion cookies, my record so far. With all these cookies, I earned 5 trophies, all of them being for reaching level 10 on different buildings. In just 15 minutes, I was able to rack up over 22,000 heavenly chips, which is more than enough to buy a lot of upgrades. Alright, let's reincarnate. Nihilism. Ascend with 1 quadrillion cookies baked. So I started doing the glitch again, and these new upgrades made it so that I get cookies a lot faster than ever before. After doing the glitch just a few times, I reached the point where I was able to buy the final building in the game for 540 septillion cookies. Self-improvement. Reach level 10U. I'm pretty sure that was one of the rarest trophies in the game. Yup, that was one of the rarest trophies in the game, which reminds me that I'm now in 8th place in the trophy race. Still not first, but now that I'm abusing this glitch, I should hopefully go up a lot of places. During this ascension, I also got 2 more trophies, both of them being related to buying a certain amount of buildings. Next, it was time to ascend again, because I've racked up over 3 million heavenly chips, which means I was able to buy some pretty nice upgrades. So I reincarnated and repeated the process of abusing the glitch, racking up tons of heavenly chips, then ascending and buying tons of upgrades. After doing this process a few times, I now have billions of heavenly chips and 21 duodecillion cookies in the bank. I don't think any of us have heard of this number before. Now that I have this many cookies, I can finally go for the trophies related to the stock market. The first trophy I was gonna get was full warehouses for owning at least 1,000 of a stock market good. So I opened up the stock market and found the only stock that has over 1,000 shares. However, it was a little pricey at $97. So I started spam buying the stock, and look how quickly my duodecillion cookies disappeared. Full warehouses. Own at least 1,000 of a stock market good. Anyways, I just did the glitch once and got all my cookies back, and I went for the next 2 miscellaneous trophies. The first one, rookie numbers for owning at least 100 of every stock, and the second, no nobility and poverty for owning at least 500 of every stock. With all these cookies, I started buying 500 of every stock and easily got the trophies. There we go, rookie numbers. Own at least 100 of every stock. And nobility in poverty, on at least 500 of every stock. So I ascended with over 500 billion heavenly chips, which means I was able to buy pretty much every upgrade in the game. So I did the glitch for like 5 minutes and got up to a high number of cookies. So I decided to finally go for the seasonal trophies. The first one was All Hail Santa for reaching Santa's final form, whatever that means. The first thing you gotta do for this trophy is buy the Christmas event upgrade, which makes everything Christmas themed. You also unlock the Santa pet, which is what we need for the trophy. So I started spam evolving it as it was hella cheap, and once I reached the final phase, I unlocked the trophy. Next, I went for the trophy Let It Snow for unlocking every Christmas themed cookie. In the Christmas event, every 5 minutes or so, a reindeer will gallop across the screen, and once you click it, there's a 20% chance a cookie will drop from it. After getting 3 out of the 7 cookies, things really started to slow down, and I was on a really unlucky streak. And man, this stuff was really boring, so I was literally doing anything to pass the time. Baby girl, let me see you do your dance, let me see. But eventually, I started getting lucky again, and finally got the trophy. Let's go, let it snow. Next was the Valentine's Day event, as I was going for the trophy Lovely Cookies for unlocking every Valentine themed cookie. Even though this trophy sounds exactly like the last one, it isn't the same, as this trophy was actually stupid easy. For some reason, a Valentine themed cookie just randomly popped up, and every time I would buy it, a new cookie would appear. So I just kept buying them, and eventually got the trophy. Like what? Next was the Halloween event, as I was going for the trophy Spooky Cookies for unlocking every Halloween themed cookie. There are 7 cookies I need to collect, however there's only a 5% chance of them dropping from wrinklers. Anyways, wrinklers spawn really fast, which makes up for the 5% drop rate for the cookies. So I basically just sat AFK waiting for wrinklers to spawn and then popped them all at once. And after about an hour, I unlocked the final Halloween cookie. There we go, spooky cookies. And finally, the final event, Easter. During the Easter event, I was going for the trophy hide and seek champion for unlocking all the eggs. There's 20 eggs I need to collect, and there's a 2 to 5% chance of it dropping from both wrinklers and bunnies. This event ended up taking the longest out of them all because there were so many eggs, and the percent chance of them dropping was so low. Also, what the hell is that? In total, it took me almost 3 hours to collect all 20 eggs. Hide and seek champion. Unlock all the eggs, finally. But before we continue, I just want to let y'all know that I'm doing a subscriber milestone challenge where I platinum one very hard game for every milestone I hit. I'm getting close to 10k subs, which means if you want Crash 4 to be my next video, all you gotta do is subscribe. Next, I went for the trophy round of applause for having 1000 cursors. At this point, I have 950 cursors, but the last 50 cursors were unbelievably expensive. And of course, the only way I know how to make cookies fast is by doing the glitch. So I started doing the glitch and set the date on my PS5 back to the year 2000, just like usual. But when I opened back up the game, I had a crazy high amount of cookies. Like I just 1000x'd my cookies. But not everything was sunshine and rainbows, as it said I was making negative 500 octodecillion cookies. Negative. And I was even losing heavenly chips, which is normally impossible. At this point, I thought it was over and I might have just broke Cookie Clicker. So I decided to talk to the guy who was still in first place in the trophy race in his Twitch chat to see if he's encountered this problem too. I asked, I just did the glitch and for some reason I'm now getting negative cookies. Am I cooked? He replied with, nah, I had that same problem too. It's actually a cheat code. If you set your time back to the year 2099, you keep all the cookies you just got and your cookies become positive again. It's actually the fastest way to get cookies in the game. I said, wait, so how does this glitch even work? Does it just randomly happen? He said, nah, that only happens when you set your time to the year 2000 when the Easter event is active. So in the end, I wasn't actually cooked, but it was actually a blessing in disguise. A round of applause. Have 1000 cursors. Next, it was time to move on to the grindiest part of Cookie Clicker's Platinum, the garden minigame. The main trophy I was going for during this grind was Keeper of the Conservatory for unlocking every garden seed. I actually started this grind all the way back before I even had 1 billion cookies. So I started out with just 1 seed, wheat. So I planted some and 1 hour later I checked on it and I now had meadleweed, a new seed. The way you discover new seeds is by planting seeds next to each other so that once they mature, there is a chance that they'll produce new seeds. And there's a lot of seeds I need to collect and they get really complicated. After a bit, I was able to collect all the base seeds, like the building blocks to get the other seeds. During this time, I was just planting random stuff and I wasn't organized. Like this garden literally looks like poop. While I was waiting for my seeds to grow, I realized that I could complete an easy trophy. So for the trophy, I filled every slot of the garden with a seed and got the trophy. Easy trophy. Eventually, I started unlocking seeds like the crown rice. And wait, what does that say? 5 hours to mature? What the hell? I'm not waiting 5 hours for this plant to mature. By the way, for every seed, you have to wait until it matures before you can harvest it, or else you're not going to get anything. The way I overcame this is by doing the same glitch that I've been using this whole video of changing the date of my PS5. You would assume that I would just move the time forward by 5 hours, but that actually doesn't work. You actually have to change the time by 5 minutes because for some reason that's the max you can do. So I just kept moving the time 5 minutes forward and in the end it only took 15 minutes instead of waiting 5 hours. So I continued grinding by following the chart and quickly grew my seed count. Eventually I unlocked the Everdaisy flower, which took nearly 3 days to mature. Bruh, I'm gonna be an unk once the seed finally matures. So instead, I decided to make use of my time by going for the trophy off Weimar What's Well for purchasing 700 upgrades. At this point, I've already bought 667 upgrades in total, but as you can see, I've also already bought all the upgrades available. So how will I buy the final 33 upgrades? You see, this whole time there's been this news reporter, and most of the time he's just yapping about random stuff, but occasionally a green text box would show up, and once you click it, you'll earn an upgrade. So while I was working on getting more seeds, I was also keeping an eye on the news so that I don't miss an upgrade. So after a while, I finally got the final upgrade. But after getting this trophy, I realized something that completely ruined this whole video. While I wasn't looking, 4 people platinumed Cookie Clicker, one of them being my friend who told me all the tips and tricks for Cookie Clicker at the start of the video. Maybe if it wasn't for school, homework, and spending time with my family, I could have been one of those 4 people. But who am I kidding? Ain't no one ghosting their family for a platinum trophy. But to be honest, I was really thinking about throwing this whole video in the bin and giving up. And that's what I actually did for a whole 3 days. But then I remembered that I already had had 68 hours on this game, and I'm not gonna let that go to waste. After a bit of motivation from Nick30, I decided to continue the platinum journey, and I was at least gonna try to become one of the first 50 people to platinum Cookie Clicker. At this point, the Everdaisy seed finally matured and I harvested it, meaning I'm only a few seeds away until the trophy. Eventually, I was down to the last seed, but this final seed was the rarest out of them all, the juicy queen bee. There's only a 0.1% chance it will spawn every 5 minutes. So I pretty much filled the whole garden with queen bee seeds, but left 4 plots so that the juicy queen bee could spawn. So I started spamming the glitch by changing the time 5 minutes forward, and it ended up taking me 2 days to get the seed. Not that it literally took me 2 real life days, but I kept moving the time forward 5 minutes where the game thought 2 days have passed, which took about 40 minutes to do. You get what I mean? Oh, 3 days? When I thought I was done with this glitch, I still gotta do it even more. So I kept spamming it for an entire real life hour and it eventually matured. Keeper of the Conservatory. Unlock every garden seed, finally. Yes, sacrifice garden. Seedless Tene. Convert a complete seed log into sugar lumps by sacrificing your garden to the sugar hornets. Now it's almost time to ascend, but I still have to do something. For the trophy debt evasion, you have to take out a loan and then ascend. So I went to the stock market and took out a loan. Yeah, that's it. Now it's finally time to ascend. But instead of reincarnating normally, I have to reincarnate in challenge mode, which completely deletes all of my permanent upgrades. So I reincarnated and went all the way back to 0 cookies and got 2 trophies. Now I only need 1 more trophy until the platinum, and that final trophy is neverclick for making 1 million cookies by only clicking the cookie 15 times. So I clicked the cookie only 15 times, just as the trophy says, and bought a cursor. Now I have to wait for this cursor to slowly accumulate another 18 cookies, then I can buy another cursor, and so on. I eventually got my first grandma, and after this, things really started to speed up, and I was able to get my first farm, then mine, and factory in just 15 minutes. But when I decided to check the statistics for this ascension, it said I've already baked 1 million cookies, which means the trophy should have popped already. That was kind of strange, but maybe you have to have 1 million cookies in the bank? So that's what I did, but I still didn't get the trophy. So I did a bit of research and found out that the trophy is very buggy, and the only way to really get the trophy is by going for true neverclick, which is basically an extreme version for this trophy. The difference between neverclick and true neverclick is that true neverclick, you don't click the cookie at all.
So then how do you even get any cookies? You're literally doing nothing right now.
Just like that, I had enough cookies to buy a cursor without even clicking a cookie. There we go, neverclick. Make 1 million cookies by only having clicked 15 times, and platinum cookie. I ended up finishing as the 29th person in the world to platinum Cookie Clicker. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out the video where I platinumed Overcooked 1 and 2 solo. It's an absolute banger.